And it's not a one. It's like I said, it's not a one-time thing. It's something which affects thousands of teenagers throughout the world. A effect that CT makes on a person. And I want to share my personal story. So 4 years ago, I didn't look anything like this. I looked more like this. Whatever. Cool. Huh? Anyway.
Maybe we can put you up on stage next year.
Exactly. Anyways. I grew up in California in a very traditional Jewish family. Our Judaism was so special that we went to shul twice a year on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And on Yom Kippur we tried to fast and things like that. And on Hanukkah we ate latkes. But Judaism wasn't so interesting to me. I wasn't so involved, I wasn't so interested. On the other hand, Baruch Hashem, I was blessed with a lot of atzlacha. Academically, my school had 5,000 students, and I was top 50 academically in my public high school. And I was very successful in tests and AP classes and all these various things. As well as I was very involved in sports. From the time I was 14, I got very serious about tennis. I used to play tennis, and when I was 16 years old, I won the Los Angeles City Championships. I became the best tennis player in Los Angeles. This is the picture from when I won the LA City Championships. So, and because of that came a lot of very special things. I got scholarships from colleges, for example, UCLA and the other colleges. I mentioned UCLA because that's the top tennis college. And everything was going very well. But my parents were very worried that I wasn't so involved in Yiddishkeit and I didn't like Yiddishkeit. So they sent me to a summer camp. They sent me to a summer camp called Sitin. They sent me to this camp thinking that I would just at least start liking Judaism. They didn't realize what they're getting into. But they sent me to a camp that I should start liking Judaism. And I went on Sitin and it changed my life. And I just want to explain why very quickly. One reason is because before that, I didn't think Judaism was possible for me. I didn't think Judaism is something you connect to. I didn't know Hebrew. I didn't know Aleph Beis. I didn't know anything. When I came to Sitin, they taught me what Judaism is really about, that you can pray in English, and Hashem likes when you pray in English, and it's special, and every Yid is special, and every Yid is a shliach, like elder, everyone's chazing here, every Yid is a shliach, everyone's important. This is one thing that I never felt before. I never felt that I did something that mattered. Another thing is that I made real friends. Before I had friends because of tennis and because you're popular and because of this and that. On Sitin I didn't tell anybody anything. I made real friendships. Friendships that last until this day. And I want to say one story that Sitin absolutely changed my life. When I first came home and started becoming religious, I didn't know much. I knew you can't use your phone on Shabbat. I knew you can wear yarmulke and tzitzis and tefillin. But my parents were not so happy with me. You can imagine, I'm saying my parents come from Odessa, Mama, whatever. They come from a Russian house. I come from a Russian household. When a child becomes religious, it's like bad almost. And my parents were upset. And even more than that, my grandparents were even more upset. So much so that my grandfather told me he never wants to speak to me for the rest of my life. And for me, as a 16-year-old, to hear that my grandfather never wants to speak to me is painful. I was raised by him, I grew up by him, he always went to my tennis matches, I was very close to him, and suddenly he tells me that he never wants to speak to me for the rest of my life. It was something that I couldn't handle. So I used to cry a lot, it was very hard. A few months after that, I went on the Sitin Shabbaton. They have a big Shabbaton in Crown Heights, with all of the people and all the 2,000 teenagers in Crown Heights having an amazing time. And one of the things, we went to the Ohel. We went to the Rebbe's Ohel, and they told me whatever you write to the Rebbe gets answered. Sounds great. Whatever you write to the Rebbe gets answered. So I wrote everything. I wrote everything. So I wrote everything, and I took a resolution that I'm going to start keeping kosher. And I came home and told my parents I'm not eating your food anymore, which didn't really work out as well as I pictured it. But anyways, so I wrote a lot of things, and one of the things I wrote about was my grandfather. That not that we should be close, but we should at least speak, should have a normal relationship. I want to speak to him. And a few months went by, nothing changed. And I was on vacation in Hawaii, and on the way back, I was sitting in the airport. I was a little bored, so I decided I'm going to make a cheshbon, all of the things I wrote to the Rebbe, if they got answered or not. So I was going through the list and checking off each one. Everything I wrote to the Rebbe got answered. Every single thing except one. This thing with my grandfather. For some reason, he still didn't want to speak to me. He didn't want to have to do with me. He didn't want anything. He didn't want to hear about me. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is a broken system. They lied to me. They told me the Rebbe answered everything. I wrote something. I thought I wrote with the MS, and the Rebbe didn't answer me. So what's going on over here? And I was sitting there thinking, how could this happen? And 2 minutes later, I get a phone call from my grandfather. And my grandfather tells me that I want to apologize for everything I've done to you the last 10 months of your life. And I want you to know that when you come back, I want to rebuild. I want to restart. I want to start speaking again. I want to recuperate. And what happened is when I came back, we started speaking and we got closer. And so much so that now my father, who is my grandfather's son, my father became frum after me. And my sister just recently took a chlata to start keeping kashrus. And my mother is also getting there. And my grandfather, first of all, we started speaking. Besides that, every sefer I have in yeshiva, my grandfather buys for me. And on Hey Tavis, my grandfather buys me. So it's svarim. This is a story I want to bring out a certain point that if it wasn't for Sitin, this wouldn't be possible. If it wasn't for Sitin, the Shabbaton and the Sitin Shluchim, who care so much about every team, because they realize this Nekuda, that a Shliach is here to bring people Chassidus, to bring people Emes, to bring Emes Havaya Le'elam to the people. A Shliach realizes this. And this is what affected me so much that it literally changed my life and the entire life of my family. And because they lifted up one neshama, they lifted up thousands of more neshamas. So l'chaim, we should.
What's your number?
Huh?
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands of neshamas.
Hundreds of them.
Hundreds of thousands of neshamas. Billions of neshamas.